I'm Dr. Tammy Batson from Northern Illinois University, and I'm talking about selfie attendance today and how that engaging in selfie attendance could maybe improve your classroom. About a couple of years ago, I had come back from a conference and I kind of was excited about some of the lessons I was doing, and we were doing this e-conference. And I tried to get on my course I had taught, an upper level course called Government and Business, and I was like, let's get out and let's try to really apply this stuff to today's economy. So I'm like, why don't you guys come to this e-conference that my department is putting on? And let's just see. And it happened to be on income inequality, a subject we were currently talking about in our course. And I'm like, well, I'll give you credit for coming. And okay, well, so what you should do is maybe you should just take a selfie with me, and then we'll just put these up on Blackboard, and I'll know you were there that day. That's how you'll get credit for showing up. So here are a bunch of the photos that kind of came in, and at the end of that conference, I was able to make this e-conference flyer. And once I started doing it, then I'm like, this is a great idea. This is a way to know who's showing up and what type of interaction we're having at each event, or what kind of impact. I started to develop the same process with the students from the ESA, my Economic Student Association, and to record attendance to different events to get them credit for their commitment to the association. It started to be selfie attendance. And the more I used this as a method to just track who was there, because it was simpler than maybe having them sign in a list, I saw, well, maybe this is a way I can encourage kids to come to these events, as well as for me to maybe understand or remember their names. Like today, I'm taking their test and they're holding up their names. And this was my way to get to know, a class of 45's first names, because these were students I know I was going to see again, advise again. And at the end of what was fun was that these little videos I could actually create with each one of the kids were participating in, and then I'd show them in class. And I was like, oh, this is like accomplishing so many levels for me to improve my education with these students and to engage them in credit. Or if you happen to miss our in-class discussion today, maybe you could come out to our Money Smart Week event. And so I started to kind of say, this is a way to know who's really, following some of the things that we're doing. I could long run remember these kids' names. I could remember their faces in a way I hadn't before. And then I would plan e-conferences, and all of a sudden now I had kids who had never showed up to some of these events. People do respond to incentives. I'm an economist. I use that all the time. So I just knew that when I gave some sort of little incentive, especially with these kids' busy lives, they're missing class so often. And they have legitimate reasons, but with a large lecture hall, it's nearly impossible to one by one assess individual assignments that could maybe replace an absence. So with selfie attendance, I was able to name several events going on in our community calendar that really could help to get the kids out and to further their economic understanding of an idea. Attendance, I had kids come into the library and helping me read to little kids when I couldn't be available to, go to maybe our cost of convenience event, where students were able to understand the dangers that can come along with short-term loans and credit cards and, ideas of how to avoid bankruptcy. They would come to these events they normally wouldn't, and here, because I couldn't come to everything, here's my TA Alec filling in and helping out and getting students credit for really trying to understand a new idea, as well as realizing that their schedule during your normal class schedule may need to alter. So this, to give some alternatives to help students receive credit when they hadn't before. I feel like it's just a great system to really get these, not feeling so defeated in the classroom when the day they missed, they happened to be our large discussion group where the kids were going to interact together. And had it been the normal opportunity cost maybe for class, they'd have been, would have been no big deal. But because, I have surprise things, I won't always know exactly what we're going to chat about that day. I really want to find some, incentive to still be attending class, because it's somewhat about the book, but it's also about our conversation we are having about the material. Another thing I really found fun about doing selfie attendance was once the kids found Snapchat. So at first it was just selfies of me and the kids were coming up for counting for attending this community outreach event. I was constantly in making funny faces just because it got to redundant, and I just kept going, I'm doing a selfie. So in ways, my exhaustion with selfies ended up making for more humorous selfies, as well as Snapchat in itself started to make, I had beautiful hair crowns. I'm like, I love these selfie apps. My hair didn't look that good that night, but thank you for giving me the flowers. And some people would make me have like a dog tongue, and or it would flip flop and back. And so we would just have fun with some of these apps and getting to know the student's name and getting them out to help in our community outreach. So this face swap thing is frightening at some point, but Bob Marley face is pretty funny. And here, that this is my favorite econ prof, one of my favorite ones I ever got. So somehow the intimacy of turning this camera at you and really saying, I want to engage with you personally, made so that I feel like this children and anyone participating in our games or our activities really enjoyed it at a level that, it's hard to capture. And so it kind of became a trend, and now I think people laugh because I make myself a superstar at events because I'll go to the football game and say, I don't want to go all by myself. Instead, I'll do selfie attendance and come say hi to me and take a selfie with me, and we can show why we, what was the incentive of this game. I sometimes make them make memes to encourage not only the humor and our self-interest in doing these, but also just the, another place to kind of improve your skill set, which can, just be in understanding how to navigate today's technology. Sometimes we think it's just about the material, but at the end, to make a well-rounded student that's going to be ready for the job market and the job field, they're going to need to know kind of a wide variety of skills, how to interact in groups, how to, create bonds, to make long-run introductions. We're talking with the guys from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. We all have a desire to kind of get to know one another, to, be socially accepted, to find humor in basic need to smile when others are smiling. My favorite thing about a selfie, or when people are taking selfies, is that I see the people around smiling too. So I think this is just, a way to make sure that students, sometimes we're signing in for on other students. It's harder to do when you need your face to get credit for this. And it was just a way at the end of each semester that I was doing this, I was able to create a flipgram much like this of the students in that class and kind of show it right as we were going through the final. just because I was like, I wanted them to almost think, yeah, I took economics in 2017. With Dr. Batson, she is cool. She talked about stuff I didn't think they would talk about. And she tried to, open my eyes in a way that, you know, sometimes we would maybe say economic professors haven't always done. So thank you for listening to my selfie attendance. I hope that with your use of your software on your campus or at your location, you'll find it's a very easy way to track students who are engaged in your type of events, and that they too will have fun seeing you in maybe a different light, a selfie light for that matter. So my last thing I'm going to say that I'm starting to maybe try to add to my selfie attendance ideas that I have used to get, to kind of get kids understanding the material, let's say, in a way I didn't know they could, is recently I started to think of more group activities where when you turn in the results to the assignment for the group activity, it's going to be a selfie of the different groups. So for Rockonomics, one of the things, I'm going to want a selfie of their whole group. So it won't just be ones with me on campus anymore, but that I will actually get to see some of our kids that are coming to our events. Here's a student event, an ESA event, teachers events, and we're taking kind of group selfies as our way to commemorate they were there. As well as in my class, some of the assignments, I am making these selfies be the answers, like basic. Instead of just having them turn in a supply and demand diagram, they actually have to put it together on the ground, like we did in some of these classes with pool noodles, and then the whole group takes a selfie, and they submit that for their attendance. So I'm excited to see what kind of material this will yield for me here at NIU in the long run too. So thank you for listening to my arguments as why using maybe selfie attendance for your grades would be awesome. Thanks.